Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming. This is all we know about it. Rockstar officially released this logo.
The highly anticipated game was recently pushed from a spring release to September 17th. Anxious fans were apparently able to dig into the package files, and information on the highly anticipated game is starting to leak on GTA forums.
Worldwide sales topped $800 million.
Grand Theft Auto 5 has made off with more than $1 billion during its first 3 days on sale.
5 million physical copies of Grand Theft Auto 5 have been sold in the UK alone.
Over 45 million copies of Grand Theft Auto 5 have been sold on console.
Alright, everybody pays attention, no one gets hurt! Go! Open the door! They'll get worse than hurt! Hey! Come on! Finally! Don't do anything! Let's go! Shut up! Shut the fuck up!
It's hard to believe that it's been 10 years since the release of Grand Theft Auto 5. I still remember it like yesterday that I was standing in a shady alleyway buying a PS3 copy of the game 3 days before release. I still don't know what truck they fell off, but on that Friday night I started playing the game and didn't leave the room until I saw the credits roll 30 hours later. Eyes as red as Snoop Dogg on a bender, knees weak and living off mom's spaghetti, only to start my second playthrough 30 minutes later because I realized that picking option B meant that I wouldn't be able to get 100% completion.
We forget 1,000 things every day. How about you make sure this is one of them?
It'll be quick!
GTA 5 follows the story of Michael, a retired bank robber enjoying his time off by sitting in his pool, smoking cigars, watching classic Vinewood movies, and getting ripped off by a psychiatrist while he complains how tough his life is in witness protection.
Witness protection for what? No one was convicted of anything.
Franklin, like many others before him, tries to make it out of the hood and seek opportunities for a better life that doesn't involve dodging bullets or having to bury their family or friends due to the life that the hood brings. And Trevor, a drug-fueled psychopath that is more unstable than GTA Online was during its launch. At least that's how you get introduced to them. GTA 5 in many ways is a very different GTA game than its predecessors, naturally because of the 3 main characters and the ability to play with them, but also because of its shifting away from a typical starting from the bottom and rise to the top storyline like most of the previous games did. The depth of the main characters and the story of them is of much bigger importance and continues the trend from GTA 5 City Stories and GTA 4. In many ways, I feel that GTA 4 and its DLC heavily inspired the idea of giving GTA 5 3 main characters, because especially from a gameplay perspective, it opened up a lot of different opportunities to make the game a lot more interesting. In GTA 5, you don't start at the bottom with 2 of the main characters because they're already established. In the prologue, you see where they come from and how they got to the point where they are in Los Santos. Sure, Franklin is stuck in the hood at the start of the game, but it's far from Nico coming fresh off the boat. GTA 5's story focuses a lot more on the main characters rather than the traditional way of making the side characters the highlight of the game. Focusing on the main characters allowed for a more focused story, but didn't quite feel like a GTA story, let alone game. It really was missing those memorable characters like
Hello, Mr. M4 motherfucker!
That definitely doesn't mean the game didn't have plenty of moments and characters like that. However, this is mostly during the first third of the game. Characters like Simeon, Lamar, and
your auntie Denise with all that ass, nigga, she got ass,
are examples of characters that truly feel like the ridiculous GTA characters that we've grown to love over the years. But to be fair to GTA 5 as well, GTA 4 and the previous games followed a similar path of being goofy at the start, and as the game got closer to the halfway point, stuff got a bit more serious in terms of storytelling. GTA 5's focus on the main characters makes the story feel very different from previous games, but can also be seen as its strength if you've never liked the quote-unquote randomness that the game always brought in terms of storytelling. GTA 4 is my personal favorite story for a variety of different reasons, but Nico definitely is one of the main reasons why that is the case. And upon replaying GTA 5's story for this video, I kind of realized something. If you pay attention to the main character, they're actually a lot deeper than you might expect, and they're actually really well written. Except that sometimes the F-bombs that are being dropped are a little bit out of place. They often felt unnecessary, and of course, I'm not 12 years old, I can handle the word. but they just made me take the characters less serious. If you look at GTA 4, there isn't really as much swearing, and characters in there feel more immersive and intelligent for it. I often feel that if a character spends half of its time just swearing at everything, they come across as a little bit more ignorant and stupid. Michael is selfish, manipulative, and just a downright liar, always trying to make it about him and his problems. There's very little to no empathy from him whatsoever. When he meets Franklin for the first time, he doesn't even want him to come over. The only reason he can stay is because he can be useful to Michael, not because he actually likes Franklin. When the FIB starts to get involved after the jewelry heist, Michael tells Franklin to get out of town. But does he do this for Franklin, or is this just to make sure that Franklin doesn't talk to anyone that might expose his secrets? Michael messes up and thinks that he already told him, only to rope Franklin further into the mess that he created 10 years ago when he stabbed his crew and his friends in the back. Franklin, in his will for ignorance, thinks that Michael actually is a good guy that will help him get out of the hood, like Simeon and like everyone else before him. But Franklin struggles with what many others struggled with for many years. You can try to leave the hood, but the hood never leaves you. Whether it's because Lamar pulls you back in because of the BS that he pulls, or the world is just stacked against you from the start. In many ways, Franklin never betters his life. He spends the entire game trying to escape the hood, but only finds himself into deeper shit than he was when he left with his aunt. Meanwhile, Trevor has moved on with his own life, trying to build his own empire while he thinks Michael is dead and gone for 10 years. Until that fateful Weasel News broadcast that makes him think otherwise. Way to kill the mood, huh? Trevor is misunderstood. Most will think of him as the goofy crazy dude with anger issues, but there's plenty of reason why he is the way that he is. He comes across as someone trying to prove himself. He's loyal, takes no shit from anyone, and will always have your back, no matter how many questions he asks about you magically showing up after supposedly being dead for about 10 years. Trevor is naturally suspicious of Michael, but can never quite prove it, until the mission Bury the Hatchet. Narratively, this has to be my favorite mission in the game and truly shows that Trevor isn't just the angry crazy dude. He's just a broken soul that's lonely, and everything that he ever believed to be true just ended up being one big lie for the last 10 years.
I got a fucking family! Yeah, well, I got nothing! No one gives a fuck about me!
I do.
Oh, fuck you! I saw your grave. I mourned you. And then it turns out that everything I fucking thought about you was wrong. Everything. You're not dead, and you're not a man.
Well, what the fuck are you?
I'm your fucking nightmare!
Yeah, enough with your goddamn threats!
Exactly who was buried in your place?
I never gave it any thought.
You know what I'm thinking?
I had no clue.
You treacherous piece of shit! You're fucking dead! You're fucking dead!
Bury the Hatchet drives home many of the points I made before. It highlights Michael's manipulative behavior, lying until the wheel comes off, that he doesn't know, that it isn't his fault, and it's always just about him. But when the guns are drawn, neither Michael or Trevor has the guts to pull the trigger.
I think the only thing that didn't go as planned was me showing up on your doorstep 10 years later. Mikey, I mourned you.
And I missed you. But I got a fucking family, Trevor. We were all gonna die. He did die.
You reptilian motherfucker!
I didn't want it to come to this.
Yes, you did! You just don't have the fucking balls to do it! But I do!
I got more to lose than you.
Never a truer word has been spoken, brother. Now pull the fucking trigger! You ain't got the guts. Take the fucking shot!
I don't believe that Trevor hated Michael. I don't think he ever believed himself that he hated Michael after all. To me, he just wanted to put up his act again to see if Michael would actually finally give a shit about him and finally stop lying. But it isn't until the very end Michael realizes that he's been acting the way that he has been. And the moment that Michael finally admits to himself and to everyone else that he's been a selfish, manipulative, lying asshole that he is the moment where Trevor can finally forgive him.
I was in a tough situation and I fucked up and I apologize.
Okay. I accept your apology.
Thank you.
Franklin often felt like the side character, as Michael and Trevor's story seemed to be the primary focus and was also more interesting. Franklin often felt like the third wheel that was needed to be there just in case Michael and Trevor needed to go into hiding in Sandy Shores, or the game needed to reel it back into feeling like a GTA game again. Because funnily enough, Franklin in some ways is the typical GTA protagonist. The side characters are the main attraction. In the missions you get screwed over by either your stupid friends or the scam artist of a mission giver, and at the end you have a bigger house but the same problems that you had at the start of the game. Where GTA 5 arguably made the biggest leap forward was with the gameplay of the missions. Everything was much more cinematic and action-packed than the previous titles, taking a page out of the book of Max Payne 3, where it wasn't always about what you do in the mission, but how it looks.
Jimmy! Kid, watch out for the boom! Fuck! Hold on! Dad! Help!
Come on! Let's go! Check the left, Trevor!
Get me to station, Chief!
36 flow. I got you.
How you doing out there? Still got it?
I'm on him! He's past the airfield! Landing ain't gonna be pretty! Oh, I can't count him!
Where GTA 5 really shines when it comes to the gameplay is where Rockstar utilizes the three characters, giving them each a unique role at times and giving you a reason to replay the mission a few more times to see what the other angle was like, what kind of different dialogue you get, and sometimes even how the cutscene started before you even arrived. And obviously, the main attraction of it all, the heists. Rockstar must have realized that there is one thing people love to do in a GTA game, and that's obviously the heist missions. And oh boy did they deliver on that front. The multiple options you have to tackle the heist and the different outcomes you will have when picking different crews and scenarios make for a great way to replay the game for a second or even a third time. Or you could just replay the heist in a different way. Regardless, they're undoubtedly the highlight of the game and utilize the three characters in their different roles very well. I think the best example of this is the Merryweather heist, where Franklin provides overwatch with a sniper, Michael sneaks his way through the ship, and Trevor picks up the treasure in the submarine. But that's only one approach. The other one is completely different. Here, once again, Trevor will be in a submarine, but Michael and Franklin will be on each side of the cargo bob, shooting their way out of the situation. GTA 5 also sets up the idea of world building and making Strangers and Freaks missions worthwhile doing. Like for example when I did the side mission Swift work before doing the main mission Father-Son. Doing so unlocked a dialogue from How when you repair Amanda's car, where he comments on you winning the race.
For a second, I thought you'd just come here to talk smack about that race you won.
And this is not a unique scenario. The interesting stuff doesn't stop there, as there's also strangers that have an encounter with each of the three characters. When meeting Barry, Michael is just open to the idea and gives Barry the time of day to listen to what he has to say about the legalization of his grass being greener on the other side. Trevor, however, gets upset because, being in the drug business himself, this would negatively affect his business. And Franklin, as the experienced weed smoker, doesn't feel a thing, while Barry breaks the golden rule of never getting high on your own supply. The Strangers and Freaks missions in GTA 5 is where the ridiculous characters that were sometimes missing in the main missions really come out to shine. Between the Epsilon program trying to have you join their cult, Franklin helping Beverly getting headlines of celebrities, and Trevor joining the Border Patrol and helping two elderly folks who are obsessed with celebrities. There's plenty to explore if you're looking to have a laugh, and admittingly, Trevor's Strangers and Freaks missions are the biggest laugh out there. Some of the stuff in there is just downright ridiculous, but in a very good way.
Едут сюда работать по-черному за копейки и прут в эту страну!
It's a disaster! And that's why we formed the Civil Border Patrol.
Another area where GTA 5 made a step forward but also a bit of a step backwards is the world. Compared to GTA 4, there's a lot more variety in the map. Between the sunny beaches of Del Perro, the busy boardwalk of Vespucci, the dense forest of Paleto Bay, the desert plains of Sandy Shores, the bright city lights of Vinewood, and the depths of the ocean, GTA 5's Los Santos and Blaine County always has something new for you to explore around almost every corner. But for its many eye-catching views and landscapes, GTA 5's map does suffer from some depth. I think this is where releasing the game on PS3 and Xbox 360 really hindered the world of the game. Not being able to enter buildings like Cluckenbell and Burger Shot or even the hospital like you could in GTA 4 was definitely a step back and kinda killed the immersion at some points. While you spend most of your time roaming around in the world, being able to enter a Burger Shot for a quick burger is definitely a nice to have. But if that meant that we wouldn't have a map that has more variety going on than in GTA 4 did, then I guess I'm fine with how it turned out. Still, for a game that was recently released on PS3 and Xbox 360, it's incredible to see that they managed to make a world this big and detailed. But if you look at the PS4 and Xbox One versions released a year later, you realized how much more the game could have been if they would have been released on those platforms instead. In Rockstar's defense though, you can't sell copies of a game on a console that hasn't been released yet. For what it lacks in interiors and entry-level buildings, it definitely makes it up in those tiny details that probably go unnoticed. From stuff like the radio playing when you leave your car on, the sound that you hear when you leave your door open, the little ticking noises that you hear as your car is cooling down, the sweat pouring through your clothing only getting wet, almost to that point that you're standing in the water, and different color of glasses changing your vision in first person, to visiting Dr. Freelander and accurately telling him what you've been up to in the game. Whether it's the amount of strippers you've been with or the heists that you've done, the Dr. Freelander visits are a worthwhile visit in your playthrough because of those dialogues you get and the laughs you can have along with them. And of course, I can't forget the Weasel News reports you hear on the radio after you do certain missions or heist. There are hundreds, if not thousands of videos detailing all the tiny little details in GTA 5, and I cannot quite possibly do it any justice in this video. There's just simply way too much. Rockstar's trademark obsession with attention to tiniest details in their world was once again highlighted in GTA 5. And if there's one thing that goes hand in hand with Rockstar's obsession in world building, it's the music. GTA 5 boasts the largest soundtrack to ever seen in a GTA game, or maybe even a Rockstar game as a whole, maybe in the industry, I don't know. There's so much music in this game, you cannot quite fathom just how much there actually is. From the smooth sounds of soul on Lowdown FM, the best of pop music on Nonstop Pop FM, and the history lesson of 90s hip-hop on West Coast Classic, to whatever the fuck Soulback FM is. There's literally something for everyone on GTA 5's radio. Admittingly, I was a bit disappointed in the classic rock station this time around, especially after GTA 4 did such a phenomenal job with Liberty Rock Radio. Like, come on, Iggy Pop as a host, Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath, the list goes on. And then in GTA 5 we have to hear about Kenny Loggins cruising all day. It's a bit of a downgrade to me, honestly. Granted, I thoroughly enjoyed most of the radio stations in the game and definitely got a few new favorite songs out of the soundtrack. At the end of the day, folks, music is subjective. Unless you like Soulwax FM, then you definitely need to get your hearing checked. The score of the game was a GTA first. Never before did we have an original score in the GTA game. And honestly, it makes a world of difference to the vibe of the missions. The chase scenes feel way more intense, the stealth missions way more hunting, and the action missions way more adrenaline fueled. The music in this game honestly is on another level. There's too many jams to mention, too little time to do them all justice, and frankly, at this point of the video, you've heard a bunch of them already. If there was one thing many people complained about in GTA 4, it was the driving of the game. So in GTA 5, Rockstar found a perfect balance. Not as arcadey as the 3D games, but not as boaty as GTA 4. The middle ground is one of the most satisfying driving experiences in gaming. Maybe that's because of how used I've grown to it over the years, but GTA 5 does really strike that perfect balance to me between somewhat realistic and arcadey. Most cars feel different from each other in one way or another, at least in single player. Is GTA 5 the perfect game? Definitely not. 10 years later, there are still plenty of aspects of the game where the age is showing, mostly in textures and the clunky feeling controls at times. But GTA 5 undeniably had a big impact on my own and many others' lives. The bar was once again raised, but that doesn't even scratch the surface of where most people spent their time in this game.